Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, however you want to say it. Geo, how is oneself?
I'm all right. Still a bit annoyed about yesterday's game. Actually,
Sure.
Charlie, still feel a little bit robbed.
I know
Robbed,
what you
I think
mean.
is the word I'd use.
It was difficult. I did analytics on the Patreon with Jack pretty soon after, and it was quite difficult to talk about the rest of the game and not think about the last 20 minutes and just all of the madnesses that happened within. It's quite. It was. I mean, the game is notable to the neutral because of the last 20 minutes, but even just within that, there's so many different things that happened that make it quite difficult to think what was the rest of the game like, because there was just the penalty calls, the red cards, like everything just sort of went completely insane and seemingly against us. Not in a I mean, look, we've spoken about football for almost a decade, right? Me and you. You'll
A long
probably know
time, isn't it?
it's been a bit too long, if anything. And I know, I think you more than anyone would know that I don't usually really care about referees. I just leave them to it. I don't really like whatever they do. It's just a part of the game for me. I was looking at it, I was thinking, man, that is he's had an absolute shocker.
Yeah, it's hard to stomach as well because it's not even like I don't mind it if it swings and roundabouts. You know, if like you can see two sides to the coin a little bit, you might understand why the referees let something go, not let something go. But in regards to the Ariola one in particular, I really struggle with it. And I'm aware I'm in the minority of the voting one, but I'm willing to accept referees' opinions over my own one in regards to
Mm.
whether that should have been a pen or not. So I'm willing to say that should have been two. Um, Football, hey.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, ignoring the end for a split second, what did you think of the performance overall? Because for me, there were positives and negatives,
Yeah.
and it certainly felt like a missed opportunity, but one that personally I'm not fuming over because of the sort of missing players we have, which gives me this sort of conflicted feeling I feel now.
Well, actually, that's why I'm annoyed because we were missing those players, and
Hmm.
I felt like we deserved to win due to the scoreline, not because of our performance. I don't think we deserved. I don't think we were the better team. I don't think we deserved to win the game in that regard. But the fact of the matter is, in the 95th minute or whatever it was, we were 2-1 up. And then the referee gets involved with making incorrect calls and we go on to draw the game. So I think we deserved to win the game because we were leading before incorrect decisions were made. And I think that's what's annoyed me more because it was a big test to go there yesterday. And listen, Sheffield United have had 9 points before yesterday's game. They're not doing well, but their performances under Wilder have been improving. And I think in the remaining fixtures, they will pick up more than 9 points, which is, slightly over halfway through the season. I think they will go on and pick up some points here and there. They weren't particularly good yesterday either, but it was all about, I had my sort of cup head on yesterday, which is it's all about the result. It almost doesn't matter how we get it. And I feel like we had done that.
Hmm.
We deserved to win in that regard without it being pretty, without being good. And David Moyes has described it as possibly the worst performance of the season, I think is what he called it. In regards to us, he basically said it was our worst performance. He wasn't happy with our
Yeah.
passing, this, that, and that. I have to say, I don't agree,
Okay.
Charlie. I don't. I think I've seen us play a lot worse than that, truth be told. I didn't feel after the game that's the worst I've seen us play this season. I don't think we were good, but I don't think it was that bad. Actually, I think some of the Moyes has been calling for the fringe players to step up. And I
Yeah.
think they did. Well, most of them. I think Ings did. I think Ben Johnson did. Listen, Cornet did in some regards. I don't think he was excellent. I think he had an average game, but he got the goal in. If you said to me before the game, Cornet will have an average game where he makes a few errors and it's not the best performance in the world, but he gets a goal, would you take it? I'd bite your hand off for that. Say yes, please, because that's a hell of an improvement on what we've had recently. And it gives us something going forward in regards to Cornet. So I think Cornet did okay. Ings did well. Johnson did well. Fanal's not so much, but he tried, I guess. But the fringe players, I feel like, did step up as much as they could to some extent. I just didn't think it was the worst performance. A good one, no, but the worst one, no. I've seen us play worse than that.
I think I'd probably agree with your final statement there. Definitely, I think we've definitely played worse this year. I can't remember what game it is, but I'm certain we have, because I feel like Cornet's a difficult one because I do think he was poor, but I also think he probably did as well as he probably could. I've been thinking for a while that Cornet might be, not to be harsh, but might just be done out here because of the injuries and whatnot. And I don't know. I just look at him and I just think I don't know what else you can bring than what you brought yesterday. And I don't think he was very good. Ignoring the goal, obviously including the goal, you're taking it. He's taken the goal very well. He's finished it well. He smacked it. He's done well. He's got into a good position. Like that's
But I tell
good.
you what, though, Coney yesterday has provided more than Fornals and Ben Rama have for.
I think Fornals was better than Corner yesterday. Ben Rama I'd agree with, and Fornals I'd agree with in other games. I think yesterday I don't think he was very. I don't think he was great. Fornals. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here thinking he played. He was he was Ben Johnson. He wasn't, but I think what you saw, what I guess actually is that unfair of me? Maybe it is, because I feel like what you got from Fornals and what you got from Cornet was potentially the same thing. I think they were both trying to do the things that they're good at, but maybe not nailing it. Fornals was trying to pull off the good through passes, the pushing it through the center, like getting us going in an aggressive, like direct way. Cornet was trying to run past people, lay it off, make his runs in behind, but just neither of them were going well. So maybe I'm being unfair about that. I feel like Fornals brought more, but maybe I'm being unfair saying I think he did more. I don't know. I don't know how to word that. Maybe I'm being unfair about it.
I think he tried, Charlie. We've got no issues with his endeavour. I think his ideas were right. I think he was like trying to pick the ball up and move it forward, and was one of few players trying to do that. But I think his passes were either overhit or underhit. I just it was a performance of a player with no confidence, and he just looked timid yesterday. You know, there was a pass to Emerson. It was simple, and he got that wrong. It was just, and he should have been taken off. When Cornet went off, I was a bit surprised. I would have taken off, and I get why he's kept Fornals on because of the work rate, and he trusts him more. But I think with Corneto, he's moving in the right direction, and I think there's something there. I'm basing this on what he's done for Burnley and not West Ham, obviously, but I do think there's a good player in Cornet, and you can get him. You've got a couple of weeks on the training ground now. If you can get him sort of ready for Bournemouth in the sense of him taking that goal and turning it into confidence going forward, I think you'd be all right. And listen, when you're missing Kudus and Bowen and Paqueta, and we were missing Bowen yesterday, he was there physically, but it was a half-fit Jared Bowen we had. I think it was quite obvious he wasn't ready for that game. Then you're going to need to look at the rest of the team and think, well, who's going to step up? And I think Ings did. And Cornet scoring that goal stepped up in a different way. Ings' performance was really good and deserved a goal, whereas Cornet perhaps didn't deserve it, but took it. It took one chance. Fantastic finish. I was hoping he would kick on during the game. I was hoping we would see a bit more from him. We didn't. He looked slow. He was one that got Ward-Prowse booked by miscontrolling it. And when he did get under control, he lost it quickly and easily. Sold James Ward-Prowse down the river a little bit, but I don't know. I've not given up on Cornet yet, Charlie. I'm hoping there's more to come.
I'm hoping there is, because there is something in there, and like you say, I think basing it off what he did at Burnley, I think he was a legitimately good player, and I think actually what he first did when he first joined us, he looked really exciting. And for example, like it might have been his first goal. The goal against Chelsea should have stood. Yeah. That goal should have stood, and I think there was definitively something there. I'm just becoming increasingly unsure that it's ever gonna come back, which is annoying. But we'll see. And it's not. There's time to go on that. This isn't this far from the end, and I don't think Cornet's going to be leaving this window. And I suspect we'll have other injury periods where he might be able to step up. And the fact he's getting game time is good for him. In the same way that it's good for Johnson. I wanted to see both of these players get game time, and so to see it happen is exciting. Even if I don't think it was particularly a great performance from Cornet and it was from Ben Johnson, I'm glad to see them both getting game time, right? Overall, I mean, the passing thing was the other big thing. I mean, I know that was in. Do you have Moyes' comments to hand? I don't know if you. I don't know
all of them. I've actually avoided what he said. I've only got the snippet that what somebody put into the Patreon Addicts group earlier, and that's where I see this comment. Because I actually thought, right, and this is not going to be too popular, I actually thought Moyes got quite a few things right yesterday, actually. He didn't get it all right. It wasn't perfect for Moyes. He got a few things wrong.
Yeah.
But, moving Ings into number 10, when the game kicked off and you could see clearly what Ings was away to do, I thought, what on earth are we doing here? I thought, because there's this call of don't play Ings up front on his own. Nobody, I didn't hear anybody say, don't play Ings up front on his own. Put him in the number 10 role. And I thought, oh, no. And actually, it worked really well. I thought Johnson coming on worked well in centre midfield. I think that was a substitution of hope rather than expectation. I don't think Moyes brought Johnson on thinking this guy's going to change the game for us. I don't think he felt like that. I think he was trying to plug the midfield, get an extra body in there, and just by happening that Ben Johnson played really well.
Yeah.
He switched the wingers just before Cornet scored, which was obviously crucial to Cornet scoring. He started out in the right, he switched it. So he got a few things right. So actually yesterday, my frustrations, I had some with David Moyes, but I didn't blame us not winning on him. I think a lot of the players, I would have liked to have seen Fornals come off. Like I said, he wasn't perfect. I gave him, when we did the player ratings earlier, I gave him a 6 out of 10, which is, you've done okay. You've done slightly better than average, which is what I still feel like that. So I've tried to avoid the Moyes stuff because I thought he'll just wind me up, and I don't want to get wound up. But then I saw the comment, and this is what got sent in the Addicts. He said, my team performance was so poor today, maybe our worst. There was a lot of throwback game, loads of long throws, loads of balls into the box. We never passed it well. We didn't control it, especially in the first half. As the game went on, we got a bit better. We had a great chance at 1-0 to go 2-0 up. We had a great chance at 2-1 to go 3-1 up. We didn't take it. I'm a bit disappointed with my own players and our own performance than anything else. I think he was trying to not slag off the referee. I think there was an element of not slag off the ref, so just say it's our fault. But I didn't think, my frustration with that comment is when he said we didn't pass it well. I think, well, when you're going to play Ward-Prowse and Souček in midfield, you're sort of inflicting that upon yourself a little bit. I think when you do that midfield pairing, you're accepting that you're probably going to struggle to pass the ball around. But
I don't disagree. I mean, have you seen the pass completion stats from yesterday?
No, but I've seen the amount of passes yesterday and seen that Souček was second.
Honestly, they're wild. I looked it up last. In fact, I'll pull it up now just so I get it correct. I'm gonna make sure I get it correct because I looked it up. I was looking at the pass. I was just looking at all the stats yesterday after the game, right? And I think, if I'm not wrong, let me click on it here. This will show me. There were three players of our starting 11 who had over 70% pass completion. 3. And 2 of those were James Ward-Prowse and Thomas Souček, which shows how much of a complete and utter mess we were yesterday passing wise. Now, obviously, passing is a 2-person game. There's one person making the pass and there's one person receiving the pass. So so it's not just that James Ward-Prowse or Thomas Souček, or let's use Thomas Souček as an example because he's an obvious one. It's not just that he was bad at passing; he could be bad at receiving the passes as well, which would negatively impact the other person's figures. But as a unit, we were god awful. Zuma 67, Mavropanos 63, Coufal 59%, Cornet 67%, Fornals 69%, Ings 67%, Bowen 65%. We were god awful with that yesterday, and it was one of our most frustrating things. That was one of the things that I was trying to say at halftime when we spoke about like Fornals and that, and the idea of like you can't take Fornals up because he's one of the only people who's going to be able to get like the passing forward. And I think you look at the second when Danny Ings wins the penalty, he's the person who passes it into Danny Ings, and it's a pass only he would really try to do in those situations. And you're right. I think you needed a third person in that midfield because the passing was just all over the shop everywhere. You needed some sort of engine to drive the rest of the team onto doing something. And as much as I agree with you, I think Ben Johnson was one. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say Hail Mary, but it certainly wasn't. I don't think he was looking at it as it was going to change the game as much as it did. But mildly revelatory. And it wasn't even he wasn't even playing the 6 role. He came in and was playing an 8. He was getting the ball. He was driving forward. He was that sort of drive that we sort of miss when we have those two, especially, and actually when we've missed a little bit all season. The Declan Rice thing of picking up the ball and just going forward with it. He was doing it, which is kind of insane to think about because it's Ben Johnson, who in my head, even as a fullback, is not an attacking fullback. Like, he's not the guy who I think is going to drive forward with the ball and get these brilliant crosses in. I think that's Coufal, if anything. And yet Ben Johnson did it with aplomb, I thought.
Yeah, he also done it in previous games when he's come on. Bristol City came on and started
Yep.
attacking the left. I came on the right back and started attacking their left side as well. So it's not like a one off that we've seen Ben Johnson picking the ball up and running into space and stuff. He's done it a few games now, and he's the one person that's going to benefit from Coufal's suspension against Bournemouth, because it means he gets a game at right back. And his case, he's in a really pivotal point of his career. Ben Johnson is. A lot of these players aren't.
Sure.
It's nothing pivotal. They've got a comfy contract at West Ham. They're going to be in the Premier League at West Ham next season unless something drastic, such as the manager leaving, changes. Unless something drastic changes, the likes of Coufal, Ward-Prowse, Zuma, Areola, they're all fine. But there's a couple of our players that they're at quite like Creswell isn't. He's at the end of his career, but it's not a pivotal point. He'll pick up a contract elsewhere and he'll go somewhere. He'll be at a different club next season and get paid a decent wage and either be first team at a lesser club or second choice at a decent club, whichever. He's fine.
Yeah.
But actually, there's one or two. Mubama is the other one, who have such a big call to make in the next few months. And Ben Johnson has one, which is, do you commit to West Ham in hope that you have because Ben Johnson can't afford another 12 months like he's just had, which is play a few games, sit on the bench. If everybody's available, you're not even in his squad. He can't afford to do that. You'll just waste your career away. So he has to decide, is his future at West Ham or elsewhere? And this is why when I see all this money talk, I think, well, I'm not convinced it is. But even if it was, the rumours are he's demanding 60 grand a week, which sounds a lot, but that's to put him level with the likes of Ogbonna, who also doesn't play. So he's basically just thinking, I'm going to be paid what the other first team players that don't play are being paid. And I know people say, well, that'll annoy Coufal because he's on so little wages. Yeah, but that's Coufal's issue. That's not Ben Johnson's issue.
Yeah.
It's not Ben Johnson. Coufal's on a lesser wage. Coufal is underpaid. Coufal is not getting paid what he should. Coufal is underpaid. Yeah. So when the clubs sort of say, well,
we've also got a problem with that at the moment as well. So
but you're comparing him to someone that's not paid adequately. It's not a fair comparison. Comparing to Angelo Ogbonna, and comparing, arguably, in terms of squad role, he's got the same role as Danny Ings, who's on 120 grand a week. Now, I'm not saying Ben Johnson, I'm saying that, but Ben Johnson's looking at the likes of Ings and Benrahma and Cornet, thinking, hang on, we're all on similar status here, which is you're on the bench and you come on when needed, but they're all on whatever a week and I'm on nothing compared to that. So I hope the club give him a new deal. If we've got European football next season, we're still not fulfilling our 4 club trained players now that Coventry's gone. We don't need to, but Ben Johnson's one. We can't replace Ben Johnson in that regards. We can replace him in the Premier League, not a problem, but we can't in the European squad. We can't replace him. So it's just one of those. I think it's cheap.
And I would go as far as to say you probably are going to struggle to replace Ben Johnson regardless. How much money are you going to have to go out and spend on a player who, even ignoring the homegrown section, for example, for a moment, and then going even further and ignoring the club trained, which is useful for Europe, how much are you going to have to spend on a guy who can somewhat comfortably play right back, centre back, left back, centre midfield, potentially DM.
Centre back and centre mid, I think is.
But here's the thing. In a pinch, I'm not playing Vladimir Coufal at centre mid. I'm not playing Aaron Cresswell at right back. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not saying he comes in and we go, right, second choice, he's coming in CM. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying in a situation where we're missing as many players as we are and the bench is basically our youth team, him playing there, changing the game. I'm not saying we play him there consistently, but I'm saying that's a sort of option if we needed it last resort. If you were to go out and buy a player who could do that, you're going to have to spend a hell of a lot of money than you're going to have to spend like on other players. And B, you're going to have to pay him more than 60 grand a week. And then you add into the fact of that he is homegrown, which makes him even more valuable and would make another person even more expensive. And then you add into that he's club trained, which just from a purely logistical purpose is a really important thing for us while we're in Europe. But also from a, like, I don't know, heart standpoint, I don't know how to word this right. his youth academy. Why we are all sitting here asking for the youth academy to be given game time, for us to be playing youth academy players more, all of these things. He is youth academy. I know it doesn't feel like it because he's 23 or whatever.
I think it's different situations though, because in regards to when you're seeing players, the academy players, I think it's give them a chance. I would argue Ben Johnson's had his chance.
No, I don't disagree with you. But I think if you ask the vast majority of West Ham fans, do you want more youth academy players or more people who have come through the youth academy in West Ham's first team? I think 90% would probably say yes. So when we have a guy there who can just be in the squad, who is perfect, who is good enough. I know people disagree with me on this point, but I would say he's good enough to play in the Premier League. I know a lot of people before the last 3 games have been like, no, not good enough to play in the Premier League. He's a championship player, blah, 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 blah. I know that. That's fine. And I know people disagree with me on that. But what are we aiming for here? Does that mean that people in the youth academy come through and unless they are Declan Rice, sorry mate, gone, don't need you anymore? No. If anything, the vast majority of our squad should be made up of those kind of players. And then you go and you buy the superstars from elsewhere. You go and you get Kuduses, you go and you get Pakatars, because they are people who won't consistently come through the academy. You can, to some extent, consistently produce people who can give you bolstered squad. And Ben Johnson's like the perfect example of that. And the thing is he worth 60 grand a week? Probably not. I'm not sitting here thinking in my head, partly probably wonkily because I'm still thinking of football 5 years ago or 7 years ago where I'm like 60 grand a week, Jesus Christ. No, he's probably not worth it. But actually for us, I think he is. I think for us specifically, he probably is worth 60 grand a week. Do I think we should give it to him? No, obviously when you're in negotiations, you try and give the person as least as humanly possible. That's the way finance works, right? I watched The Apprentice. It's coming back soon. I'm very excited, right? I understand how these things work. But for us, I think it is worth that. And I feel like it's just, we sort of miss so many different aspects of what Ben Johnson is.
I half agree with what you're saying. I think when you were talking about replacing him, also, you never go buy a player that can fill in positions.
No.
At no point would a club say, let's target someone who can play right back and left back, but not good enough to start. You're not going to go do that. So you only come upon these players because either you bought them to play a position they're not good enough. So you might buy a right back because he's not good enough to be your right back after all, but he's good enough to be a squad player and can cover elsewhere. Yeah. Or they come to the academy. It's something, a situation evolves as to when they become a utility player. You might get them at the end of their career, a bit like what James Milner's done and Phil Neville did at Everton, where they're at the end of their career, so they're moving different positions around in the players and when. In regards to Ben Johnson, I would like to possibly retain him. I've never wanted him sold or to be binned off. And when the news came out ages ago, like to start the season, that him and Coventry were going, I go, whoa, Coventry, okay. But Johnson, whoa. It was far too soon to make a decision because we don't know what the rest of the season's going to, and we still don't. At this point, I'd like him to get a new deal. However, I don't know if he's ever going to be good enough to be first choice right back, first choice left, whatever. The centre midfield thing, it was one game and it was against Sheffield United. I don't think it was a difficult game to look good in when the bar was set that low from the rest of the players. I think he's a decent squad option who's very professional. In regards to your comment about the academy players, I can't completely agree because I think he's had an opportunity where when people want players from the academy, it's more for the players be giving a chance rather than to be in the squad for the sake of it. They want Bramall to be given an opportunity. Marshall be given an opportunity. But usually, a bit like Conor Coventry is possibly the perfect example from our argument against yourself here, which is, well, he didn't really get a chance per se, but my point is we kept him long enough to see if he could do it, and we've decided he's not good enough, let him go. And I don't feel as much call for Conor Coventry to play, if any, because he's not good enough. And I think while you want to see the players from the academy get an opportunity and a chance, but if they're not good enough, then you don't want them to be kept just because they were from the academy. You've got to allow them to go for their own careers.
Yeah, 100%.
Like we have a commentary, which is you're not going to make it at West Ham. Go do it. He's gone to Charlton. I hope he smashes it. I hope he ends up in the Championship next season or the season after because he's done so well at League One.
Yeah.
But with Johnson, I don't think he's ever good enough to play right back or left back. but I do think he's an adequate squad member. And also, 60 grand a week is expensive, but that's what the average player is probably on at West Ham now. And you'd imagine he would sign a long-term contract as well. So say it was a 4-year deal. Actually, in 4 years' time, that could be peanuts. That 60 grand a week he's on could be nothing. He'll be 27 then. So suddenly it's like, okay, now you can sign a new deal and similar wages because this is your last big contract. So I hope it gets resolved. I think it'll get resolved. And but I don't think he'll ever be first choice in any position at West Ham. I think he'll always be a squad option. But sometimes you need players like that. If anything, this season has demonstrated how difficult it is to have squad players that can come in and hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson, over the last few games, has shown that actually he can come in and start playing well, despite being out in the cold for so long. So a bit of a situation has been created off the back of a horrific performance, and one of the worst performances I've ever seen from a West Ham player away to Brighton last season. He never recovered from that, but it feels like he's a year later he's recovered. He's playing himself into it now a bit, and I just hope the club, if he goes, I hope it's because we've decided we want him to go, and not because we haven't made him an adequate contract offer. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I think if a player's not good enough, then they shouldn't be here. For example, Flynn Downs. I don't think Flynn Downs was good enough. He shouldn't have been here. It's just the way it is. Like Connor Commentary, I've seen no evidence that I think he's good enough. And it's a shame. I would love him to have been. It's not like Josh Cullen, where it felt like every time he played for us, I was like, holy crap, this guy's got something. There is something there. I've never really felt that way about Connor Commentary. And so, like you say, I want all our youth academy players to go on and do amazingly wherever they go. I always watch them. I always look out for them. I was looking up last night, Harrison Ashby, even him, right? I was looking up, I was like, oh, he's at Swansea. How's he doing at Swansea? Seeing like all that sort of stuff. I always want our youth academy players, no matter where they go, to go on and absolutely kill the game. So hopefully Connor Commentary, like you say, goes to, I don't know, a championship side, becomes first choice, absolutely kills the game. Like, would love to see it. But I've never seen any evidence that he's good enough. I've seen plenty of evidence that Ben Johnson is, which is on the contrary. No, not to start. Like you say, agree. And I don't think, at this stage, especially if we are to continue as a European side as we have been, or a team at least challenging for the European positions, I don't ever see a situation in which Ben Johnson all of a sudden sprouts into becoming our first choice right back or left back. But as a squad person, utterly vital. And I feel like, that's something.
The interest in Ben Johnson in this transfer window, the rumoured interest, if you want to call it that, from Leeds and Southampton, and then some from abroad, well, Pellegrini. I think if you were to give him a new deal and come the summer, we changed our minds and thought, actually, not sure about him, you could probably recoup a few million. It's not going to be anything staggering. I think you could get a few million for him, which would pay what you've just, between what we paid now and the end of the season, that increase in wages would be offset by the transfer fee you could command in the summer. Even if next summer 2025, you decide to sell him, the financial outlay between now and then would probably be lesser than the transfer fee we would get for him if we decided to move him on. So I think actually, financially, I think the club's quite safe giving him a new contract, and you'd be able to change your mind if you needed to. There will be suitors for him because he's a good player. I think it'd be a really good option for top championship clubs. I do, like first choice. I think he'd get into those, and you look at, I suppose, Luton. Listen, I think Alfie Doughty's had a fantastic season so far. Something I wouldn't mind at West Ham maybe, but on the other side, when he has been in his better position at left back or left wing back or right wing back, could Ben Johnson not get our team? I don't know. I'm not sure Kabore is better than him.
Yeah.
But regardless, a top championship club, could he go and play for a top championship? I think he would. Would a top championship club play a few million for him? I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, and listen, no one knows better than Ray. Ray Borum here, right? Ray, when we were doing Two Spanners, One Hammer, knows that at one point I was not into Ben Johnson in any way, shape or form. And now I spent maybe 10, 15 minutes on the watch along yesterday calling him Bele, John Aldinho, just all of the good stuff. Ray knows more than anyone how much I've changed on that one. Ray knows. Bele, mate. He's Bele. He come on the pitch, changed the game. He was twisting man up. It was crazy.
I think what Ray says is a good point, though. We do have a lot of players need replaced in the summer. Aaron Creswell needs replaced. Possibly. Bonner, because we haven't sorted his contract situation.
Yeah,
We still haven't sorted Coufal's contract situation, so we might need a right back anyway. Never mind two.
True.
And so that's just replacing players. That's not even thinking about upgrading. I think there's a fair chance we're going to have to replace Lucas Paqueta. That's going to be difficult. We need a striker in the summer probably as well. So you're already looking at 5 players before you've even looked at Ben Johnson. So I think if we could keep it like Ray says, just get Johnson renewed so we don't have to worry about it in the summer. Allow us to focus on bringing in the players we want to bring in, and then happy days.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Was there any other big things from the game? I mean, obviously there was 15,000 incidents, but you spoke about them at length on the review. I spoke about them on the watch long. Is there any other things that you wanted to bring up about the game? Because I can't.
Not necessarily. I think we've got a long period now till our next game against Bournemouth on the 1st. We'll find out tonight if Kudus is out the group stage or not, and even if he is, he could still be eliminated before the Bournemouth game comes around. So I think there's a small chance that Paqueta's back, and I think there's a smaller chance that Kudus is back. But regardless, Bourne will be, you'd imagine, back to 100% for that game, because I don't think he looked 100% yesterday, but nearly 2 weeks more to recover is good. Alvarez, you'd imagine, will be fine for that one as well. So we'll only be missing 2 players, but we might have a new signing by then, whether it be Callum Phillips, whether it be an attacker. We might have 2 new signings by then. It's, the good thing is, the weird thing, Moyes spoke about transfer deadline day. Moyes said, we're playing, so it might make it trickier. I thought, hang on a minute, what are you waiting until transfer deadline for? We've got, we've got 10 days until transfer deadline day. You've got 9 days before we play a game. Go get it sorted. Go get the players you want to bring in. Go get them now. Go get whoever it is now. You've got plenty. You don't need to wait till the transfer deadline day before you start doing something. So the club have got a really good opportunity now, a real good window where none of this, we can't sell him because we need him for games. There's no games now. There's none.
Yeah.
So if anyone comes in for aims, you can let him go without it impacting our next game. Benrahma, I hope he's gone before our next game. Get him to France and get a replacement in. So I'm hoping that the business I'd like to see done is Benrahma gone and 2 players coming in.
Yeah, me too, and I think I'm pretty confident of that happening. Like at the beginning of the window, I would have been pretty confident on a couple of things happening, and I think a lot of them won't happen now. But Benrahma going and at least 1, maybe 2 coming in would be something that I would be. I don't think is out of the realm of possibility. To be fair,
I don't believe this one at all. Ionic. I would love Boniface. I think he's a top player, but
yeah.
No, the other thing is, I've seen a couple of people say, Steiden's man. It's not. He joined Leverkusen after Steiden had left. There's maybe they identified him when Steiden was there, but there's more evidence to suggest it's not. But listen, a top striker, top goal scorer in the Bundesliga is not difficult to find, right? Just a bit like the signings of Alvarez and Kudus. They weren't difficult. Everybody had heard of these players. We all knew him. It's not like he's plucked them from. I'm waiting for signings of players I've never heard of. Like these South Korean players were linked to. That's the type of signings I'm looking for Steiden to make. Not Kudus, not Alvarez, not even Mavropanos, not Boniface. That's not where a scout earns their money. A scout earns their money when you go get
some rando like the Korean guy. I'm here for the Korean guy, by the way. I've not had a chance to see it on video yet. I literally know nothing about him, and I could not be more excited for it. You know what I mean? Get him in.
For some reason, I was like, when South Korea's, I'm going to watch South Korea's next game. I'm going to do my own scouting.
Do you know who they have? I don't know who they have.
I have been paying attention to African Nation, but I'm not been paying attention to the Asian Cup.
Wait, and Kudus' the Kudus game's tonight. Ghana, who is it?
Yeah, 8 o'clock tonight they play Mozambique and Cape Verde play Egypt. So should Ghana lose tonight, they're eliminated.
Well, we know what tomorrow's video will be if it happens. So
he's coming home.
He's coming. Yeah.
Starboy is on his way home. I don't know what the clickbait title will be.
Just a big picture of Kudus. There we go. Done. There's your views, ladies and gentlemen. There's your views. But yeah, all right, fair enough. All right, calm. Well, Geo, thanks a lot. Appreciate you. We usually do these in the mornings. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't awake It's just where we're at this now. No point sugarcoating it. Last time Geo had to move it because of meeting. This time, just I wasn't awake. But usually we try and do these after the. Usually we try to do these after the match. Just a little chat. What was I going to say? There was something I was going to bring up. Don't remember what it was. Who cares? Doesn't matter anymore. Subscribe if you like the video, everyone. Like the video if you've subscribed. And we'll see you next time. Cheers, everyone. See you later. Bye.